connecting, and apparently we are live. Is that correct? Okay, the chat is coming. I don't know whether anybody can still hear me or already hear me. Let's see, let's wait. Welcome to live chat. Wonderful. So I think I am probably live now. So then, hi guys, and welcome back to Brain Friendly Thinking. It's been a really I can't even talk anymore. Great. It's been a really great, really long time since I said that. So finally, I don't know whether anybody will join us today. This is going to be an experiment, and I don't know, we're just gonna wait for a few minutes to see whether anybody shows up before I start with the actually scheduled program. This is going to be an experiment, as I said, experiment in more than one way. As you probably noticed, I've been absent for quite some time. In fact, I checked the recordings or the uploaded videos, and I saw that the last video was uploaded in October 2022, or was it November? But certainly not later than that. So this was now more than 3 years ago, and I started it in May 2020, I think. Meaning that I've been longer offline than I've been online. Okay, high CPU usage is affecting the meeting quality. That is another of those things that are just part of the experimental nature. But yeah, what I wanted to say is that it became, let's say after a while, it became more and more difficult to make these videos. I don't really know why. Strangely, you would think that the more videos you make, the easier it becomes to make videos. But for me, it became harder over time. Of course, I got used to how to do the editing and how to set up everything and so on. That aspect, sorry, you probably hear a lot of noise that you shouldn't hear. That's just part of the nature. Where was I? The happiness of live recording, of live streaming. It became harder and harder for me over time to make those videos. At the beginning I was very closely following what Vera Birkenbiel had done, so I essentially had the script laid out for me. I had actually done it several times, explained it to other people. It was quite easy, but over time I wanted to not so much push myself, but I wanted to go beyond what was already out there, because I personally, I'm a big believer, of course, in these techniques, and I'm using them myself on a daily basis, or whenever I'm doing some thinking. And I think the, let's say, journey that Vera Birkenbiel have started, there is more than what she thought. She set up a framework, and she collected a lot of tools. She developed a lot of tools herself, but now it's all about extending this framework with new tools that she didn't know about, applying it to things that she didn't know about. So essentially, that's what I'm trying to do, and I try to add more of the background to that. And that became harder and harder. It sort of was clear in my mind what I wanted to say, but getting it out, that was actually the hard part. So the hardest part was actually me recording the videos, me standing in front of the camera and knowing that it's a camera, and knowing that it's kind of weird. It's different now, even though I don't know whether anybody's watching right now. At least nobody is writing anything in the chat. Either that or the connection to OBS is not working as intended. But since it shows me it's doing the live chat, I'm assuming it is. None of that is tested, all of that is live. But still, talking into the camera right now, it's something weird with the psychology. I have much less of a problem of putting my thoughts into words. It's sort of like as if I was talking to someone in the real world, in the real, like I was really talking to someone, where before, where I had the normal camera, and I'm using my phone as a camera. If you could not tell by the quality of the videos, then it's quite an old phone. Yeah, there was a difference, and it was sort of like it didn't feel natural. The words simply didn't come, right? And so it took me a ridiculous amount of time. Like the later videos, they were like between 10 and 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and I recorded for an hour, maybe 2 hours, and well, what you got at the end were 10 minutes, 15 minutes of actual content, and lots of the time was just me going, yeah, what did I want to say, and forgetting my train of thought sort of halfway through the sentence, and all of that is something really weird about that. So that became harder and harder as I progressed. And at the same time also, of course, my PhD became harder and harder, because I got towards the end, there was more to do, and then the writing up, I don't know what it is about the writing up, but the writing up is really always the most difficult part of the PhD. Everybody says so. Nobody believes it in the beginning. I didn't believe so either. I thought, well, after you've already done everything, you just need to write it down. But for some weird reason, that is really the most challenging and the most stressful part of the PhD. So I stopped making those videos, and then of course life happened, and all of that got into the way. So I didn't restart it. However, if it had been easier for me to make those videos, then maybe I would have restarted sooner already. But once you lose the momentum, it's sort of hard to get back into it, especially, and this is a really stupid thing, but you know, as you make your videos, you get better, things become more natural, you push yourself, you want to improve the quality. At least that's what I want to do, at least a little bit. And of course, once you want to go back, you think you can start right at the same level where you stopped, and the longer you haven't done anything, the harder it becomes, or it's even impossible. And then your own I'm not sure whether it's the ego that goes into gets into the way, but something in what you're doing actually gets into the way, something in your mind. So for a very long time I didn't do anything, even though I do have ideas. There are several videos which I still want to make, which is like, yeah, they're the natural next couple of videos on my channel. There's even one that I already half recorded, and then I noticed I don't know where I want to go, and it didn't come together, and boo. Yeah, that's really annoying. But there are a couple of techniques which I still want to show. Also, what I always wanted to show is I wanted to show how you really use them, because these techniques are good, and a lot of people, hopefully, they can use them right away. But it's always different if you really see how somebody else is using it. You get new ideas. You think, oh, I could try this, or I could try that, or I never thought about using it in that way. And that's always something I wanted to do. The problem with that is that technically, if you see something where somebody thinks through something, you're usually expecting that you have an outcome in the end, because if I have a video, look at me doing this cool technique. Okay, if I don't know that technique yet, and I say I'm trying it out for the first time, that's interesting. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe there's something that that's sort of holding me back. But you see, that's where I start thinking. But what I always wanted to do is I wanted to show something where I'm not only showing how I'm thinking, but it also has some results. And that of course makes it much more difficult. However, I think I talked for long enough now. This is only my second live stream, and for the last live stream I actually had some people I was talking to, and the chat was coming along, so it was a bit easier to fill it with live. But after this very rambly introduction that gives you a bit of behind the scenes and a bit of catch up, where have I been, why didn't I make new videos, all of that sort of stuff, all of that out of the way, and I've given you enough time to join this stream. I hope it's even on the right channel. If not, I apologize. I have no idea. I put it up there. I got at least one comment that said, great that you're back. And I think so too. I missed you guys. I missed making these videos. But I have no idea. I think because I haven't uploaded videos for some time, it's actually not showing any new activity to a lot of the people I'm subscribed to. Some people will see it, but for most people it will be buried beneath other notifications or whatever. So a lot of people will probably not have seen it yet. And those who have seen it, they might not have time. But we will see. We build this one step at a time. At the moment, the idea is to do these once a week on Sunday. It is today the 7th of December 2025, which means that it's not too long until Christmas. Yeah, Christmas Eve is in 2.5 weeks. If everything goes well, I should do another 2 live streams. Then I might pause for a week or two, and then pick it back up in January. I will see how it goes. So now, after I successfully talked my way out of explaining what this experiment really is about several times, let's actually go to the experiment. I'm sorry, I'm just got something like of a tablet just so that I can talk for longer. I hope that's not too annoying. Good. What's this experiment all about? I want to... Well, let's start a different way. There are several reasons why I haven't restarted the videos in a while. One of them, as I said, is because it was simply... the momentum faded because I hadn't done anything in such a long time. Also, it became more and more difficult to make these videos. And then also life got into the way. I entered a really stressful period for a long time, and after that I had to recuperate for some time. Yeah, all of that kept me from doing the videos. And actually right now I also have I have a normal 40 hours work week in a normal job that does not involve YouTube, that does not involve teaching thinking. I have other things I need to do on top, like I'm currently working on my third publication for my PhD. And when I say currently, that is maybe a bit of an overly flattery statement. I work on and off on my third publication. I should actually do more work. Apologies. Also apologies to my collaborators in case you should see that. I hope I will be able to pull my weight a bit more in the future. And also I'm thinking about what's next. I'm currently back in industry, but I would really in the long term go back to research, either in academia or in industry. There are certain things I want to do, and I've been reading about, but all of that takes away time I would really invest if I wanted to do those videos. So I had the idea that what if sorry, I hope that's not too annoying. It's just a habit of mine. I think it's just something we all need to get used to. This is not a pre-recorded video, this is a live stream, so you will find a lot of my habits, annoying or otherwise, that you didn't know about. Now, the idea was, let's get back to the idea. The idea was, what if I use some of that time I'm currently investing in literature research, in thinking about the topics I want to move towards on a scientific level, or as a researcher, let's say. I take some of that time and I simply hit record, or I point the camera and I simply hit the record button. And those are my videos. They're not pre-scripted, they're very rambly, as you can probably tell. It's now, when did I join? I was a little bit late because the last steps of the setup were a bit more complicated than I expected. But I think I joined at 12:01 or 12:02, it's now 12:18. Yeah, so it's rambly. Nevertheless, I can make progress on what I'm working on anyways. You guys get new videos, and this is very important for me. I could also make other videos. I could make videos about how to use R, how to use Python, these things of type of things, because I'm using them when churning through data, when doing statistical analysis, all of that kind of thing. And for my lab, I've also recorded some tutorials on that before I left. But I sort of want to keep my brain-friendly thinking pure, if you like, if you know what I mean. Brain-friendly thinking is really a channel about how to think deeply and creatively and how to solve challenging problems. That's what I wanted to be in the core. I don't know why you subscribed. I think a lot of people subscribe specifically for the Zettelkasten, which is just one of many tools. There are, I think, some other people, or the other big group that subscribe because these thinking tools, or learning is one way of thinking. In fact, I personally think there is no or there should not be any distinction between research, at least literature research, and learning. Just one of them. Research is you sort of pushing the edge of knowledge of humanity, if you like, if you do it right. Whereas what we generally call learning, that's you're pushing your own edge of knowledge. But from your own perspective, there isn't or there shouldn't be really any difference. So I think my videos also attract a lot of people that are actually looking for learning tools and not so much thinking tools. But for me, learning is just one type of thinking, or yeah, let's call it one type of thinking. But still, I don't want to overload it with a lot of tools and then lots of tutorial videos on R, on Python, on with the newest Obsidian or whatnot. Not that I use Obsidian, but still, that's simply not something I want my channel to be about. I want my channel to be about thinking, problem solving, being creative, exploring new aspects, right? All of that. And not only in a specific area, which might be part of why it's a bit difficult to brand my channel. And in the end, my channel, or any channel, becomes, it's an interaction with the viewers. The viewers, in a way, dictate what the channel is about, and the channel attracts viewers and so on, and it's a feedback loop. But so I don't want it necessarily only about scientific thinking, about research. I personally, I'm not sure whether I mentioned that in any of my videos before, but I'm an engineer. I studied mechanical engineering, a bachelor master. I worked for a time as a systems engineer in the automotive industry before I'm doing neuroscience. So already there I'm have the lens of the engineer, I have the lens of the researcher, and I'm not so much an engineer that has become a researcher, but I'm more sort of like, I like to be at the interface between the two. There are certain things I really like about engineering, I like about product development, but there are also a lot of things that I like about research, like especially basic research, even though applied research is also interesting. And there's a lot of cross-fertilization between the two. More than that, I'm also an artist, believe it or not. I do write poetry. I have written a couple of very small stories when I was a teenager. I've always wanted to write something longer, like a novella or novel, but none of those projects has really gotten anywhere yet, even though for one of the projects I managed to write a bit more than 50,000 words during one of the NaNoWriMos in 2017 or 16? No, not 17, 16 or 15. Yeah, I can't remember which year. Anyway, so I am an author as well. Not necessarily a very good author, I don't want to claim that, but I have, that's sort of my greatest strength and my greatest weakness, if you like. I have all of those perspectives, and this is why I don't want to tie my channel down to any one of those things, because these tools, these approaches, this framework, I use it for a lot of different things, and sometimes I'm an engineer, sometimes I'm a researcher, sometimes I'm an artist. You can use it for all of those, and I really like people to discover that these tools, they can be used in all of these in many more circumstances. You can use it as a business owner, you can use it in customer support, depending on what you're doing. You can use it when repairing things. There are so many things. You can use it as a craftsperson, right? It always depends. If you're on a factory floor and you have a very pre-specified list of tasks you need to go through, of course, then you don't have so much creativity necessarily. But in any area, there are positions that require creativity, that require creative problem solving, and in any of those areas you can use them. So I don't want to tie it down to research, even though I am now sort of applying, or I hope I can show you that I want how to apply those tools to research. I don't want it to be the be all and end all of the channel. This is sort of a more, yeah, you can use it wherever you need it, and maybe in the future I can make more videos about this. Maybe I can make more videos about writing, creative writing, or maybe even not only creative writing, also non-fiction writing. There's even, I just learned this the other day, a type of writing that is non-fictional creative writing, something like that. And then there's of course other non-fictional writing, like writing papers, writing documentation, all of that type of stuff, writing essays. Okay, where does that leave us? We are like almost halfway through the hour, 25 minutes, and I've only been rambling on and on and on. That's one of the reasons I don't necessarily watch a lot of live streams, because that tends to happen if you don't have a script that you follow, or you only have a little script that you're following. I sometimes watch them, sometimes they're interesting. Good, so let's take a deep breath. Where does that leave us? What do I want to do? I might introduce a couple of new tools as we're going along, simply because I'm using them, but this live stream is not about introducing new tools. This live stream is about me thinking about a topic or subtopic, whatever you want to call it, maybe a problem, in an open-ended way. I don't know what's going to come of that, whether I will get anywhere. Maybe it's a dead end, who knows? That's part of thinking, that's part of exploration. If you can't deal with that, then this is not the right type of not task, but the right type of work for you to do. It's just the way it is. On the other hand, all of us in our daily lives, we will need to use it at some point, and if it's just to patch some relationship problems or whatever. But it is open-ended. It is open-ended, and it's about in my really almost done half an hour without me getting to the point. In my announcement, I said it's about what robotics can learn from neuroscience, because that's really, for me personally, where I want to develop towards in the next couple of years. Maybe even, hopefully even being able to make the first move in a couple of months. It's sort of, I guess it's the engineer in me. I've always been very fascinated by robotics, especially swarming robots. Like when I was a teenager, there were a couple of documentaries I saw. There was one specific one about swarming and complex systems, and that really fascinated me and really started me on a journey that's lasted ever since, for the past 20 odd years. And there was really, I really wanted to contribute this. This is why I started to study mechanical engineering, and then I became a systems engineer, and I saw that we are still very far from that edge, that vision, if you like, that they painted as the future. And whether it is the future or not, whether it even should be the future, or whether we should be scared about it, it's a completely different question. Let's not get into that here right now. But there was something fascinating about that. But I learned that normal high-tech engineering isn't yet working at this edge. Recently, with the advances of AI, we're getting closer and closer to that. There is now also a field of AI called embedded AI, which, if I understand it correctly, means not just running the AI on a machine, like in a data center or on your personal computer, and you have an LLM or you have some other type of machine learning model, and you give it some inputs, and it does gives you some output, and you're working with that, but you're embedding it. That means you're putting it onto hardware that does something in the world. In my case, what I'm interested in is you put it onto robots that you can, for instance, use in a hospital settings. And over the past 5 or 7 or so years, definitely less than 10, there has been a lot of advances. That it's basically since about 2015, when the first self-driving cars not even hit the road, but that was about the time when the Google challenge, somebody succeeded at the Google self-driving car challenge, and since then I am thinking more and more we're living in a sci-fi world. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing depends, but there has been a lot of progress recently, and now we're getting to the point that we can really think about moving these systems to production, and some of them have even already been or are already in production, that have more of a more cutting-edge approach. Good. And now I come to the things that I'm not so sure about. This is where the thinking starts. All the past 30 minutes that I was talking, that was basically, I've gone over that a lot of times in my head, also partially while I'm writing applications and so on, partially talking to friends. Now I'm getting to the part where I need to think about my words, not because so much I have a fear that you misinterpret what I'm saying, but more of what I am trying to say is simply not clear in my mind right now. I made a video about that where I talk about how you can clarify your thoughts, like by talking to a friend, writing it down, and so on and so forth. I can't remember everything I said in there, but really I made this video for myself because I'm also not. It depends. Sometimes I'm good at it, sometimes I'm not so good at this. So instead of just me talking to the camera all the time, continue to talk to the camera, but instead of just me seeing my face all the time, I've prepared a little something, and I hope this is going to work. And brilliantly, it still gives me the zoom. Wonderful, brilliant. Just give me a moment. Let me try to. What happens if I do this? You can of course see all of that. That was not supposed to happen, but who cares? Can you hide? This is where I would need the chat now. Then you show non-participants. No. Put on hold. Report. Remove. Oh wait, something like that. If I go back now. Right. Okay. Fine. Doesn't matter. Works like that as well. It's not perfect, but this is an experiment. I can always level up my gear and my software stack at some point. I'm afraid you will need to get used to that. Okay, fine. That's not how I envision things to go. We take things one step at a time for the moment. Cool. Okay, let me just send you to the other desktop. Just a moment. No, that's not what I want. Thank you very much. That's what I want. Great, so I can still see the chat. Not that there's anyone, but hopefully over time we will build an audience again. Great, so what did I want to do? I want to, apologies if you hear some noise sometimes. I want to start with a cover. And I want to start with a cover about robotics. This is absolutely not pre-planned. I mean, it is pre-planned that I wanted to write a cover about robotics, but anything I'm going to associate in this cover, robotics, this is not pre-planned. So I have no idea whether I will think of knots today or not. We will see. Not. Okay, move the cursor out of the way. Wonderful, you can see something. It is a bit more blurry than I would have hoped. Is there any way I can sharpen it? No. No, apparently not. Cool, doesn't matter. We take it one step at a time. In a couple of months this will be much better. But I hope it is still clear enough. This says robotics. Good, so let's simply go with a cover and say, what do I want to talk about? I don't want to talk about everything about robotics, but specifically about the control system. Control system. Oh, I just realized I wanted to add it to C. I could have also added it to S. Great. And I think you cannot read this at all. Apologies. I will think about something. I'm not sure whether I can solve it by next week. Eventually it will be solved. Just bear with me, please. This thing here says control system. What do I mean by control system? The control system is the thing that controls the robot. So the robot is of course moving, and it's not necessarily moving in space, but even if it's just like a robotic gripper, right? You get something, you take it, you move it over here, it's still moving, it's still doing something. There are probably other robots that are not moving so much. But they do have a relationship between inputs to outputs. And let me connect this to O. And the thing that is responsible for converting inputs to outputs, that's the control system. That's what I'm interested in. That's really what the brain does. Let me write down brain here. That's really what the brain does, because our body, just as well as in a robot, we have certain type of sensors. They're called receptors in biology, but it's the same thing. So let me write down, let me try to do a very, this is supposed to be a brain. It's not a, there you can see it clearly anyway. It is not the most beautiful drawing of a brain, but it does need to be beautiful. This is the cortex here. Here we have the so this is the cerebrum or the cortex. This is the cerebellum, and this one here is the brain stem. And we have things like the eye. This is supposed to be an eye. You can't see it anyway, but I still draw it. We have an eye, and there is light falling into the eyes. These are supposed to be light rays falling into the eye, and the eye, not so much the eye itself, but the cells on the back of the eye, on the retina, they convert the light input into a voltage that then travels to the brain. We have other things. We have, and now I'm really glad that you can't see that very well, because my drawing skills of a hand are not very good. Oh shit. Okay, we have the hand. We have the skin, basically. And this is what I researched for my PhD. But as where is the camera? As something touches our skin, we don't think about this usually, but when something touches our skin is deformed, it's stretched, and all of that. There's pressure, and that also gets transformed into a voltage, and the voltage again travels to the brain. And other things, we have our sense of smell. If I draw something of a nose, that's a very beautiful nose. We have the odor that surrounds us. So we have our nose. We have our ears, of course. We have lots of other receptors in our skin. They're not just the touch receptor, and by the way, there's not just one touch receptor. There are several touch receptors, but there are also dedicated receptors for pain. There are dedicated receptors for heat and cold, and so on. In our retina, we have 3 different types of cells for 3 different colors, and we also have 2 more cells for black and white vision. And so we have the rods and the cones. You might have heard about this before, and all of that gives us a lot of information that enters the brain. And at the end, what we want to get out, or what we need to get out, is, well, we need to move our body in some way. Everything we're doing, even all of the cognitive ability that lets us do abstract math or whatever, really it's just for us to move our muscles, if you like. Not only our muscles, there are also, of course, other parts of our body. There are blood vessels that are diluting and constricting. there are hormones that are traveling through our body, and our brain is also involved in regulating those networks, but on a basic level, just for basic understanding. We can restrict it to muscle movement, because that is most of the time. Well, it's maybe, I don't want to overgeneralize, but that's a big part of what it's about. And if we're thinking about robots moving around in the world, gripping something, this is what they need to care about. So we got let's actually make that a black box here. If you don't know what a black box is, in engineering, a black box is simply a black box. That means a box where you don't know what the inside of the box is, but you do know the inputs and the outputs. Cool. So that's a big arrow coming in and a big arrow coming out, going out. So the control system is a black box, and so is the brain. We've been starting to unravel what's inside the black box. We're starting to understand some of how the brain works. In a way, it's really amazing. We understand, if you compare to 100 years ago, 200 years ago, it's amazing how much we already know, but at the same time, it's amazing how much we don't know yet. Right, both the control system and the brains, they are black boxes, they are controllers, they control, in case of the brain, they control how the animal moves, and humans are just a special type of animal, whereas the control system, that should only be one L, whereas the control system of a robot then controls how the robot is moving. And really what I want to get into and what I want to start thinking about is this part here. How can this black box that we're starting to unravel help us to design this black box from the ground up? Yes. Robots. And there's something, actually, when I researched labs for my PhD, I was not necessarily looking into neuroscience. I knew it should have something to do with complex systems. I knew it should ideally have something to do with biology, because I'm also a big proponent of bio-inspired engineering design. I'm also teaching that as part of an engineering master's degree at a German university. And I knew even before starting the PhD, I really wanted to get into this part here. How can we transfer what we know from nature to robotics or to other engineering systems? Let's actually give this one here a transfer and connect it to T. I was, as I said, not specifically looking at neuroscience PhDs. I was also looking into other areas of biology and even geology, because if you go to the soil, that is sort of at the interface between biology and geology, and the soil is also a very interesting system. So it's of course the whole ecosystem, the whole biosphere. So a lot of a cell is a very interesting system as well, and so on and so forth. I was also looking at more engineering inspired PhDs that were more specifically targeted toward robotics. advanced robotics, adaptive robotics, of course. And one thing I learned there, that was back in 2018, 2019, yeah, probably 2018 actually. So one thing that I need to find out now is whether this is still the case, but still there's one thing that I learned, and that is called reinforcement learning. Reinforcement. Yeah. So first of all, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for writing a comment. At least I know this part is working. I know that the image is very blurred. Unfortunately I can't do anything about it right now. Before the next live stream I will try to think about something. As I was saying, eventually it will get better. I apologize for that. It is what it is at the moment, and we're making baby steps. But great to have you here, and I hope you're not turned off by the blurriness of the image. Eventually it will get better. So reinforcement learning. Great. Oh, by the way, this is something I forgot to say. Maybe I should say it now. I've been interrupting myself often enough, so I can do it one more time. Of course, I really also want this to be a bit of an interactive session. If there are people in the stream who have ideas, who have to contribute, who have questions, don't feel shy to ask them in the stream. I'm happy to interact with you guys, just because I am thinking through a problem that is, or through a topic that is important to me, and I want to show you sort of how I'm thinking. That doesn't mean that I don't want to interact with you. Yeah, I should really post the final image somewhere. I'll do that. I'm not I think I can probably even post it on YouTube. If not, then I can at least add the link to the comments. We will see. Cool. Reinforcement learning. So reinforcement learning, you might have heard about this if you follow the AI space, because reinforcement learning is also something that is used for ChatGPT. That was really that got ChatGPT started. They used what they had before, and then they added reinforcement learning as an additional training step. And what it is you essentially, you have a task. So your robot is trying to carry out a task, which can be anything. It can mean to move from A to B. It can mean picking up something and put it down somewhere else. It can mean fixing something. Lots of things. So you have a task, but in order to fulfill the task, there are actually several steps. We don't usually think about this, but if I just want to pick up this pen and move it somewhere else, there are actually several things I need to do. First of all, I need to locate where the pen is. Then I need to move my hand there. As I'm moving the hand, in flight as they call it, I'm actually shaping my hand so that it is positioned most optimally to grip the pen. Our brain has a model that is running in parallel. Then as I'm gripping it, I'm getting the feedback from my receptors, so I can grip it with the right amount of force. I need to move it up, put it over, let it go. There are lots of steps. And the idea behind this reinforcement learning is to reward the robot for things it's doing right. Reward. You can do it, you can simply have it do the whole task, and then you give it a reward depending on whether it got it right or not. And then you have a feedback loop, and depending on how much of a reward you get, you change what is here in the controller, if you have a machine learning model. This has some problems, and usually what they do is they subdivide the task into several subtasks, and you not only get points in the end, you also get points for For intermediate goals of the task, but yeah, it gets complicated. I've never done it myself. I can only tell it in a very abstract and very conceptual form. So this is what I came to understand to be the state of the art back in 2018, and especially what they had back then was they had what they really wanted to do, and there was one PhD project I saw about this, was have one gigantic net. Do I have an N? I don't have an N for nets. I don't have an N for neural nets. I don't have an A for artificial neural net. I have an S. I have an S for single neural net. Cheating creatively. Cool. Which meant that whatever goes in here goes into a network, just like for an LLM, just if you're using ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, and then it does something, and at the end it tells you what should the output of my motors be. How should I move my electric motors? How should I move my pneumatics if I have that, depending on how the robot is designed. And yeah, but it's essentially one big blob. B-L-O-B. One big blob between inputs and outputs. And even before studying neuroscience, I thought this doesn't quite sound right, because even with my sort of layman's understanding back then, I thought where the brain is actually structured, even on the most basic level, you have the cerebellum and you have the cortex, but even within that you have the motor cortex, you have the sensory cortex, you have the frontal areas that are usually involved in higher cognitive tasks, you have the thalamus. There are lots of things, and the more I'm gotten into it, the more I learn that it is really this interaction between the different parts of the brain, the parts, even the parts of the pathway that are really necessary to carry out what we want to carry out. Sorry, this is not making a lot of sense. As I said, I am still thinking this as we are recording. This is why it's an experiment. I'm not sure whether it will work, but hopefully over several subsequent streams, what I'm trying to say will actually become clearer and clearer as I'm thinking through it. And I don't know whether this big blob of a single neural net with this reinforcement learning for the control system, whether this is still the state of the art. This is actually something that I want to find out. I know that some other areas, like vision, for instance, they have moved now to something that is called a hierarchical network model. I don't have an H for hierarchical. Let's call that then a structured. S for structured. And now I'm even moving out of the structured network. I don't know yet how much this is already done in robotics, but even if we're already moving towards that, you can always do more. And this is what I want to get at. This is the type of problem I want to be thinking about. So I will be learning as I'm doing things. I will be thinking through the whole matter. Right. All of this will be unscripted. So at the beginning I never quite know where I will end up at. But I hope it will give you more of an idea of how I'm actually using the tools, how I'm actually thinking. Yeah, how I'm thinking. That's a good way, and hopefully it will give you some idea to what you can try yourself as well. Ideally, you will also learn something about robotics and neuroscience if this is what you're interested in. That would be awesome. But even on a meta level, you will learn something about how to apply the tools I'm teaching on this channel, or I had been teaching on the channel before the channel started to hibernate. And give you some idea how you can use them yourself. We only got a couple of minutes left. This feels like a natural breaking point. I could start talking about how the brain does it, what I know from my from my PhD, but I think this is best left to the next live stream. And sorry if I mispronounce your name, but Firangistranguero, is that Portuguese or is that Spanish, or do I completely mispronounce that name? What did you say? There are no English translations for the books of the original author of these cognitive tools. I don't remember her name right now. That's Vera Birkenbiel. Yes, you're right. There are very few translations of her work, and this has, I think, to do with the way how she's writing. This has to do with she's writing in a very Portuguese. Okay, she's writing in a very good way. I like the way she's writing, but she's also it's a way that she does a lot of not so much puns but wordplays, and they are very hard to translate. This is unfortunately, while some of her work have been translated to other languages, including English, not a lot of have been translated, and that was one of the reasons why I started the channel. But as I said in the beginning, I want to move beyond that, and actually let me switch back to my talking head so you can see me and not only my hand. Actually, in fact, I even thinking about writing a book myself, where I introduce those topics. So far I haven't had the time to work on that, so right now it's just an idea that hopefully will become reality at some time. Maybe this is the next thing I can think about live. I don't know whether you watched from the very beginning, whether you heard what I said before. If not, if yes, then it's a repetition. If no, it's something new. But what did I? Oh yeah, as I say, I talked about why I haven't making videos for a long time, and I've been through a very stressful period where I simply didn't have the time, and also it became more and more difficult for me to make those videos because I was moving into territory where I had to do more and more thinking, and I was not clear about what I was trying to say myself. And I found that I'm not the type of person, if I have a camera in front of me, I can simply talk. If I have a camera like this, if my brain tells me you're actually talking to people on the other side, even now one person is writing back, thanks, that's really, really awesome. But even if one part of me thought there's actually nobody listening right now, it still feels like talking to a person, and suddenly the words start to come out of my mouth much more easily. But I still can't devote a lot of time to this YouTube channel. I have a 40-hour work week in a completely different field where I simply need to perform. I also working on the I'm working on and off on the third publication from my PhD that needs to go through. And I'm at the moment in sort of a rural place, so it takes a lot of time to go from point to point. And with all of that together, and the fact that it got harder and harder for me to make those videos, and the hardest part for me was actually getting those words out into the mic in a form that's understandable. I simply don't have the time right now. I'm also thinking about this, what I was talking about right now, how neuroscience can contribute to robotics, because that's what I want to move towards. So the first project I will be doing on those live streams is thinking about this topic. I hope this will be interesting for at least some people. I will do it anyway, even if it's not interested, if I'm the only one who is interested in that, because it is, yeah, it's just something that is currently keeping me up. But once I'm got a certain distance with that, maybe my life changes again, or the circumstances change again, I got a bit more time, then I can think about writing that book in English. And maybe I can use the live streams again to work through how to structure the book and what to put into the book and not into the book. Yeah, very rambly. This is the new me. This is what you need to get used to when I'm doing live streams. It's not as tight and to the point as if you have pre-recorded videos. Good. I have no idea how many people are joining. I'm recording this via OBS. And I'm just getting used to OBS. I used OBS before, but only to sort of record my screen and not so much for live streaming. I don't know where I can see how many people are online. I only see the chat right now. Don't know, maybe some people have been watching. If there has been more than one person watching, then thanks to everybody. If it's only one person, then I still thank you very much. It's really great to be making these videos again. I know this sounds like cliche, I know everybody says that, but it actually means something for me to make those videos, and it's really great to interact with you guys. And this is actually something that I've been missing, and it's also really nice to be interacting with you more directly rather than just through comments after I posted the videos. Interacting with you on a live stream, that's also great. I hope I get back into this. I will be back next week at the same time. I know a lot of you are from the US. Apologies if this is too early for you, but as I said, right now I don't have a lot of time and I have to do it at a time that is convenient for me. Hopefully in a couple of months I will have more time again, and then I can accommodate more people with more schedules and so on and so forth. And you can of course always look at the recording. Thanks. Sorry, I will take some time before I can pronounce your name. It's a bit long for somebody who doesn't really speak Portuguese. I speak a little bit of Spanish, so I will pronounce your name in a very Spanish with a thick German accent, I guess. Strangero. I guess in Spanish it would be extranjero. I don't know how. How do you pronounce it in Portuguese? I will look this up. But yeah, thanks for joining. Thanks to anybody who has watched my videos before. Thanks for anybody who is going to watch my videos in the future. And it's really great to hear that it helps you guys in some way. That really makes my day. So next week is the 14th of December 2025, 12 noon Central European time. I hope I can see you there, and let's start to rebuild the momentum one video at a time, and we will see. It's an experiment. We will see how this is going, where this is going, or whether that is not going anywhere at all. So I guess I have to do my usual outro. I will do that as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please don't forget to hit the like button. And I forgot the rest that I'm saying. But until next time, keep thinking. Thanks.